What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp, and today we're going to be showing off the top 5 gaming keyboards from 2022, giving you guys a look at the best releases that came out this year. Also, the holiday season's here. We got Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up. I'll put all the links to everything today in the description down below so you can check it out. Hopefully find some of them on sale as well. This is going to be kicking off our top 5 list for the holiday season as well. We've got top 5 mice coming out tomorrow. We'll be doing headsets, microphones, webcams, all that stuff in the next few weeks. Now, starting us off today at the number 5 spot comes the glorious GMMK 2 compact 65% keyboard. This comes as a quality upgrade from the original compact keyboard from Glorious, as it now features a 65% layout for those still needing arrow keys but wanting a smaller footprint on their desktop. We also have a full aluminum top frame to the board to add to its overall heft, and double shot shine through keycaps to accentuate the RGB lighting in and around the board. Now, despite the upgrades, one of the main reasons I have this on the list today is not only because it's competitively priced at $120 or $80 bare bones if you want to get it without switches and keycaps, but the switches used here are their glorious Fox switches, which are pre-lubed linears that feel super smooth. Of course, as I mentioned, with the ability to buy a bare bones, you do have the option to also swap out the switches if the Fox switches aren't for you. The PCB is hot swap with 5-pin north-facing mounting. Alright, we'll do the sound test now for the Compact 65, and for most of these sound tests, I'll keep it at around 20 seconds or so, just to give you an idea of how that board sounds with the switches. But again, sound test with the Fox linears. So the user experience here is what puts it in the top 5 for me. I've used a lot of 65% boards in the past, but the upgrades this year definitely make it worthy of being mentioned in the best of 2022 conversation. Again, factoring in a solid build, pre-loop switches, and the option to completely customize this with buying a bare bones, something that a lot more companies should offer. But even if you do buy it stock for $120 with the Fox switches, I don't think you'll be disappointed in the slightest. You can get it in a black or white color option as I've shown, as well as a pink color. All in all, Glorious continually putting out upgrades to their keyboard lineup is a great thing for the community, and I'm sure this will definitely fit the bill for a lot of people looking for an upgrade this holiday season. Next up is the Keychron Q2, which came out back in January and managed to hold its spot in the top 5 all year. Keychron really exploded into the keyboard scene last year with its numerous options of layout offerings, and they made the list last year as well with their Q1 release. This guy, the Q2, is obviously a bit more compact, as it also goes for a 65% layout, but managed to keep the control knob in the top right. This is great obviously for volume, but you can configure it to be whatever you want, jogging a timeline, zooming in and out, adjusting brush size in Photoshop, anything like that. Now, also like the glorious compact we just showed, you can buy this in different options, bare bones or pre-built, and with or without a knob. Prices will then vary from $150 to $190, but with all the different color options and switch options to pick from, it's actually a hell of a deal. The navy blue option I have, I swapped out the stock keycaps with our set from Control T keys, and I swapped the switches inside as well. So note, this is a little bit, modified, but again, that's the beauty of keyboards like this. You have that freedom to do so. And if you do decide to mod it a bit, you'll see the Q2 is a gasket mount for more flex and give while you're typing or gaming, which personally I think gives it an advantage over the feel of other tray mount keyboards. Also, this is fully aluminum versus other keyboards going aluminum and plastic. Keychron didn't skimp out here at all. Like I mentioned before, I swapped the switches to some lubed link switches, but the PCB is also 5-pin hot swap, but in the south-facing orientation, giving this the advantage over the GMMK compact in my opinion. So again, even though we have the aftermarket custom keycaps that I added and the link switches inside that don't really come as an offering for this keyboard, we'll still do a sound test so you can hear how it sounds with the all aluminum body. So at the end of the day, for under $200, the Q2 really is a phenomenal board for those who want a solid 65% board with a control dial. I use that as my main keyboard in my setup for around 3 months, and I loved every second of it. And I know it may be a bit pricier, than you might want to spend. I'm sure a lot of gamers out there are more used to that $100 range for a pre-built gaming keyboard, but this really blends that line between a custom and a pre-built, since it's made and intended really to be modified if you want. I'm telling you guys, Keychron doing some insanely big stuff in the keyboard market. Now for the number 3 spot, we're gonna toss it to my man Dimitri from Hardware Canucks so he can show off and reveal my number 3 keyboard of 2022.
Well, hello random people, thanks to Frank for having me. One of my top picks for this year for the keyboard space would be the Everest 60 from Mountain. Simply because they've designed the most delicious fidget spinner magnet system ever. These magnetic feet that you can raise the back of the keyboard, but who cares about that? I don't care about the keyboard anymore. These magnets, man. Keyboard by itself at stock, I would say, is really nice to type on. These yellow mountain switches are fantastic. The spacebar could use some more work, it's a little rattly, but everything else on it feels nice and premium. PVT keycaps, nice solid base, beautiful RGB illumination on the entire perimeter. We have 3 USB-C ports at the back so that you can decide which way the cable exits, and these additional USB-C ports on the sides of the keyboard, because we have this optional numpad that you can buy and install on either side of the keyboard. So if you love playing your games and want all the available room on the right side of the keyboard, bada bing bada boom. But then mount this numpad on the left side for that numpad love, I really love what Mountain is doing. I want to support them, but this keyboard, just keep in mind, is not available in the ISO layout, which is very popular in Europe. And everyone's saying that when are we gonna see the numpad wireless? That would be the next step of having something like this additionally to your keyboard space that doesn't require a particular proprietary product, But otherwise, the Everest 60, man, is awesome. Back to you, Frank.
So definitely some good stuff from Mountain yet again with their Everest 60, giving us still the option to add their different, modular components onto the keyboard to build it out if you want more than just a 60% keyboard. And it's a really great concept. They're still releasing new things, new touchpads, new macros, and I love what Mountain's doing. So they are my number 3 keyboard of 2022. Now for the number 2 spot, this is where it starts to get kind of tricky for me. I'm gonna show you guys 2 different keyboards from the same company that are very similar, but different enough where they deserve their own spot at number 2. From iQunix, we have the OG80 Wormhole and the ZX75. So first I wanna talk about the OG80 Wormhole. I first saw this online and absolutely fell in love with its looks. I really dig the frosted polycarbonate case with the teal accents all around. Got a nice novelty spacebar along with 2-tone keycaps in white and light gray. And it's the same 75% layout that we saw last year from their Cosmic Traveler keyboard that I showed off. Now it's just more my style visually. Inside the box to give you other novelty keycaps, you can place them around the board or stop it with the escape key, which I think is a nice touch for sure, more the merrier. The PVT keycaps are not shine through, as you can see. Even though we have an RGB PCB in the frosted case, you won't be getting that glow through the characters on the keys, but the board as a whole definitely makes up for it. So you can use this board wired or wirelessly with a 2.4 GHz toggle on the backside, or with Bluetooth, so 3 different options. On the top left side of the board, you have this little teal cover. That's where the wireless dongle goes if you're taking this out with you or on the go. And the LED indicator right next to it acts as like a pairing light as well as the battery status for you. Built in are a ton of RGB effects, and it's all configurable on the board, so you don't even need software, which is a plus. But not only are the effects cool looking, each effect can be changed to a single static color, all at the press of a key. Again, when talking visuals, I think the design is really one of the best looking pre-builds out there. So on their site, not only can you get this with no RGB if you don't care for the flashy lights or if you want to save a few bucks, but you can pick your stabilizers and pick between 10 different switch options. In my unit, I have TTC Gold Pink. They're very smooth and linear. However, if you aren't a fan of these, and you want to swap them out, yet again, we have a hot swap PCB. It's 5-pin north facing, so you can use pretty much any switch you fancy. And like I said previously, here I would typically prefer a south facing PCB, but honestly, if you're buying this board, it's because of the aesthetics, and odds are you won't be replacing the keycaps anyways, so you won't have to worry about the mounting orientation. I do want to touch on the CoStar stabilizers in this unit at least. They also have the option, as you saw, to pick between the cherry plate mount stabilizers. But honestly, for being CoStar, they sound and feel really good. There's no ping at all, no ugly rattling, and they're factory lubed. So honestly, just sounds and feels fantastic with this configuration, from the OG 80, 83 keys to the layout. But if you want something a bit more compact that also features a knob, yet again, a reoccurring theme here, we have the ZX75. The ZX75 and the 75% layout with 81 keys does come in at a bit more compact footprint, I'd say, without that upside lip on the backside of the keyboard like the OG 80 has. And you can tell iQunix really put a lot of time into these boards with the design. They have so many different colorways and options that go so much further than just the board. The cases are in different colors, solid polycarbonate, clear, frosted, different matching keycap sets and novelty keys. It's honestly impressive. I am loving the dark side and the gravity wave options they offer. And again, guys, just because these boards are plastic and the polycarbonate material, it doesn't take away from the overall quality here in any way. And if anything, I'd say the polycarbonate adds to the sound profile. So even though the two models with the OG 80 and the ZX75 are different, they're still more so the same in terms of specs and internals. The real reason this one has my heart is because of the volume wheel, or just the knob. You know, anything with a knob is going to be better than one without it, because you can configure it to be whatever you want. Extra control is always a plus. Prices on the ZX75 models do vary depending on the switch, whether you want RGB, there's different editions for some of the boards as well. So prices will range from around $190 to $250, but I'd say well worth it, honestly. So this unit I have also features the TTC gold pink switches like in the OG 80 Wormhole, but again with a slight difference in material in the build, I'll still give you a sound test. All right, and then for our #1 spot of the best gaming keyboard of 2022, which takes the crown possibly for not only this year, but for the entire gaming keyboard market, which yes, I know is a pretty bold statement, but it's true. We have the Wooting 60HE. If you're a competitive gamer, you play a lot of FPS games, really anyone that just takes gaming seriously, this keyboard will give you that competitive edge. And that's not just marketing jargon, that's a fact. This is a super compact 60% keyboard that has customizable analog switches that can actuate at just 0.1 millimeters, a mode to lower input latency down to 1 millisecond, and double inputs per switch with their mod tap feature. So if you're complaining about it being 60% with having less physical keys, each key can act as a second input as well on the fly. So you'll still have access to arrow keys, for example, despite them not being physically on the board. But let's back up for a second. On my unit, I did swap out the stock PBT keycaps for these dark glacier keycaps from Angry Meow. I just like the look here, and with the font and the colors, I found it really matches the black and yellow Wooting theme already. But I also went with these keycaps because it'll give you a good idea of the keystrokes with the Hall effect switches, and you'll be able to now see that actuation real time during B-roll with the RGB lighting effects. The stock keycaps though, they're fine as well. They're a textured PBT set with shine through characters. I just figured a new keycap set would be a nice change up visually. But underneath the keycaps are their Lecker switches, and these are exclusive to Wooting and are made in collaboration with Gateron. These are completely different than a traditional mechanical switch. Even though they may look similar, there's literally 0 components that are identical to a traditional switch. That means these have no metal leaf or pins inside. They pop into the PCB with just these 2 plastic legs in the bottom of the switch, which also means these are completely proprietary. You cannot use other switches with this board. These are linear with a 40-gram spring and have a travel distance of 4 millimeters all the way down to the 0.1 millimeter, as I said. And since the Lecker switches are powered by the Hall effect magnetic sensors, there is a very tiny magnet inside the pole of each stem, but that's what lets you really customize the switches in terms of the actuation distance as well as the analog capabilities. But the biggest selling point to the 60HE are the Lecker switches with their rapid trigger function. Rapid trigger is a feature that lets the Lecker switches actuate numerous times in a single full keystroke. What I mean by that is, on a traditional switch, when you press the switch down, depending on the actuation distance, let's just say 2 millimeters, boom, that's it. The key's pressed, you need the switch to fully reset before you can press it down again to register as a new keystroke. Here, since they're adjustable in steps of 0.1 millimeters, you can press the key down any length. And the moment you begin to let the key switch start to pop back up and reset, you can continue again to press it down 0.1 millimeters and it'll register as another keystroke. No bottoming out needed. You can make these actuate numerous times along the actuation range. And just for visual sake, there is a lighting effect where the green is portraying a press and an actuation, and the red LED shows its reset. So you can literally press down all 4 millimeters, then every 0.1 millimeter reset on the way up, you can actuate it again, allowing you to pull off numerous actions within that 4 millimeter distance. So if you do the math, that's 39 individual strokes capable per key with just that one full bottoming out movement. Mind blowing. This is all on a per key basis as well. So your wahs, for example, say you want them super light, they can actuate at 1 millimeter or less, and then other keys can be at 2 millimeters so you don't accidentally press them. And then now you can have these micro movements per key with absolute precision. And that's ideal for like in-game strafing, for example. In Optimum Tech's video, he showcased these extreme movements in Apex, where you can do things like air strafing, where you're doing these circular jumps, which with the Wooting 60 makes it so much easier to pull off, since the inputs are faster with the rapid trigger. Then he showed super gliding, which again is a movement all about timing that you can pull off just so much easier now with a faster, more precise keyboard and a key switch like we have here. And also what's really cool is since you have a standard 60% tray mount keyboard, if you want to customize it a bit more and you don't like this case, you can take out the PCB, the plate, everything, and swap it into another standard 60% tray mount keyboard case. And then really begin to start to customize it and still have all the advantages, all the tech of the Wooting 60HE. But now we'll do a sound test of these Lecker switches. So, at the end of the day, this is the fastest gaming keyboard on the market. That's not my opinion, that's just facts. And I know, like I said before, with this being the best gaming keyboard as well, that you may say, I'm just saying that or whatever, but you can look at any other review out there. You can talk to anyone else that you trust, and they will all say the same thing. This keyboard from Wooting is hands down not only the best of the year, but if you're a hardcore gamer or anyone who takes gaming seriously, this is the best option. Now with that all out of the way, there are some other ones I want to touch on real quick. So we have 2 runner-ups and honorable mentions. I'll do a quicker rundown of those 2. Starting off with the Razer Deathstalker V2 Pro. And they have 2 options here with their full-size, low-profile wireless keyboard, as well as a TKL option. I reviewed the full size when it came out and loved it. I loved it enough to also pick up the TKL, which is definitely more my style here. But there's really not a lot of good wireless, low-profile keyboards out there that also feature good things like optical switches, good battery life, durable keycaps, and this has got it all, and it's super reliable with the Razer Hyperspeed wireless technology. So I won't be doing a sound test for these runner-ups, but like I said before, these do have optical switches with their red linears. So again, super low profile, they actuate quicker than a traditional mechanical switch as well, and they're durable. They have 70 million keystroke lifespan. Something I love to see on the top right side of the keyboard, you have your volume wheel, you have a configurable media button right next to it as well, and 3 modes of connectivity. You can use it wired if you want, wireless like I said over hyperspeed, as well as a Bluetooth mode. So giving the popular Logitech G915 TKL a run for its money here, again, wireless, slim, low profile, really digging what Razer did here, and like I said, the TKL is definitely my choice over the full size, but you got both of them. And also for the second honorable mention is a bit of a controversial keyboard from NZXT. but I wanted to include it because out of their range of 3 different keyboards with a full size, a TKL, and this MiniTKL, I feel like NZXT did enough with this unit to still be mentioned today. This is the NZXT Function MiniTKL. So like I said, when this released, it was kind of in some hot water because it was like kind of just out of left field. It was too pricey. They've since made some price cuts. They've made it more readily available and stuff. You can get it in black or white or this gray unit on their website. But I really dig the form factor. It's still a TKL layout, but it's more condensed and compact here to save room on your desktop. So you still have the function and arrow keys. It's still a pretty sleek looking keyboard overall. And like I said, 3 different color options to pick from as well. On the left side of the board, built in, you have a really nice volume dial, which is just conveniently right there on the edge. You have these 3 quick buttons as well. Things for like controlling RGB, quickly muting your keyboard, locking the Windows key, for example. I'm really digging that. It's also got a hot swap PCB, 5-pin north facing. I believe on Amazon they come with Gateron red switches inside, but on their website you can configure it, pick different switches, different keycaps, all that stuff if you definitely want to spend a bit of a premium, which was kind of the issue at launch. It was a premium price tag for not really a groundbreaking premium keyboard, but all in all, for under $100, I am digging what they have to offer here. So alright guys, that'll wrap it up for my list of the top 5 gaming keyboards of 2022. Obviously with some exceptions and other ones mentioned as well, so it's more like 10 keyboards of 2022, but whatever. Like I said, they'll all be listed for you in the description down below in case you want to check them out. Add them to your wish list, good gift ideas for someone else. And also with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up, hopefully you can find some of these on sale to, get a pretty good price overall. But yeah, that'll wrap it up. If you enjoyed, give this video a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And last, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.